Regardless of whether you enjoy shoujo or not, Sailor Moon is an undeniable classic among fans of anime. Beloved for its magical storyline, celestial characters, and distinct style, its timelessness evokes nostalgia. So it's no wonder why it's one of my personal favorites. After all, it did inspire my username. In many cases, the fascination with this series is underscored by a very particular aesthetic. For those that began watching later on in the 2000s, a pink hue helped embody the themes and feel of Sailor Moon, as the pinks and reds bled into other colors and forced whites to blush. But before we dive into this any further, if you are a fan of anime video essays and love exploring the stories behind shows that we grew up with, as well as discussing the current anime series that are airing now, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. That way you won't miss out on any upcoming videos from me. Now, let's dive into this fascinating history of how Sailor Moon's pink tint became an accidental icon. Unbeknownst to many is that this series stands among some of the most influential anime series in both Japan and the US. Is actually bound to a massive mistake. Its iconic pink hue, which some see as inseparable from the series itself, was not an intentional decision, but rather a happy accident. In the early 90s, Sailor Moon had burst onto the scene, captivating audiences with its magical girl storyline, enchanting characters, and vibrant visuals. This series quickly became a cultural phenomenon, not just in Japan, but around the world. The original intention behind the show's color palette was to create a vivid, otherworldly atmosphere, filled with bright pastels, shimmering tones that match the magical celestial themes and scenes of the story. But it wasn't pink. When the series was first being created in the 90s, the process of animation production was a far more labor-intensive process. The luxuries of digital film and digital storage weren't available then. So studios had to rely on traditional methods that were available to them in order to bring their stories to life. Originally, each frame of Sailor Moon was hand-drawn on celluloid paper, painted, and then photographed with the painted background using actual film, a sensitive and fragile medium. It was only after this meticulous process that the animation could be produced. In the 2000s, Toei Animation started the process of digitizing their extensive library to preserve their series. However, as years had passed, the physical media used for storing Sailor Moon began to deteriorate. Film restorer David Miranda discussed this process earlier this year. Instead of using the original camera negatives, Toei Animation digitized their library from the master positive prints, which had faded over time. The National Film and Sound Archive of Australia defines master positive prints as graded prints made from a negative original, from which a duplicate negative is made for producing release prints. These master positive prints, which Miranda explains likely came from Eastman Kodak film, are notorious for fading pink and red as they chemically break down. As a result of this digitation process, Sailor Moon took on that pinkish hue that we know today. Preserving film is a delicate and challenging process. Over time, film materials can deteriorate, leading to color fading, physical damage, and even total loss of content. This is particularly true for older films that were stored on fragile media like the Eastman Kodak film, which we now know is notorious for fading pink and red. Experts in film preservation explain that restoring a film to its original state involves meticulous cleaning, repairing damaged frames, and color correction. This can be a time-consuming and expensive endeavor. Professionals in the field emphasize that without proper preservation, we risk losing not only visual and audio quality of media, but also the historical and cultural context that they provide. Film and television shows are more than just mere entertainment. They are historical records that can reflect the artistic and cultural conventions, values, standards of their time. But unfortunately, not all studios have the resources or the foresight to invest in proper preservation techniques, leading to the degradation of many classic films and television shows. Poor film preservation can have significant consequences. The degradation of visual and audio quality can diminish the viewer's experience and impact the cultural legacy of the media. Sailor Moon is a prime example of this. Although many fans have come to love the aesthetic of Sailor Moon, we now know that the artists and creators intended the shades of whites to be white, not a blush. This case illustrates how poor preservation can alter the perception of a cultural product and even reshape its legacy. When Sailor Moon was reintroduced to a new generation in the early 2000s, many fans, myself included, just assumed that pink hue was a deliberate artistic choice. Without the knowledge of the gray preservation error, viewers easily accepted that the pink tint added a dreamy, romantic quality to the visuals, enhancing the show's ethereal and celestial vibes. This dreamy quality resonated with audiences, enhancing the show's themes of love, friendship, and humanity. What started as a mistake became a defining characteristic of Sailor Moon's visual identity. Sailor Moon's unintended pink aesthetic didn't just captivate fans, it also left a lasting impact on the anime industry and beyond. The romantic, dreamlike quality of the pink tint influenced other creators, inspiring them to incorporate similar hues and aesthetics into their own works. In a variety of anime series that followed, this influence is demonstrated through wide adoptions of softer, more pastel-forward color palettes that echoed Sailor Moon's charm. Series like Cardcaptor Sakura and Tokyo Mew Mew exhibit traits of this influence with their own use of the colors and dreamlike visuals. This aesthetic has also permeated other forms of media, including fashion, fan art, and merchandise. Sailor Moon's pink hue has become a symbol of a broader trend, showcasing how an unintended mistake can spark a new direction in visual art. Fan art and merchandising often pay homage to Sailor Moon's iconic pink tint, further cementing its place in popular culture. Artists and designers draw inspiration from the show's unique aesthetic, creating works that celebrate its romantic and ethereal qualities. This cultural impact underscores the importance of embracing unexpected outcomes in the creative process. Now that does channel the philosophy of Bob Ross. He may have nothing to do with anime or film preservation, but he always said mistakes are just happy accidents. Still, for others like David and Miranda, all they can see is a mistake. What spun off of this surely created an interesting aesthetic with regards to how people interpret anime from this era, Miranda told Yahoo News. But it's not an authentic one, and from a historical and preservationist perspective, I don't agree that it should be quite as celebrated as it is. But that's the thing about a mistake. It's already happened. Of course, you do everything you can to prevent the mistake from happening again, especially for the sake of the artist. But regarding one that's already occurred, how you choose to regard it and handle its existence as the viewer and a fan is up to you. People can double down and point out that the pink hue is a mistake. Likewise, others, regardless of whether or not the mistake is revealed to them, can adopt influence from the pink hue. It may have objectively been a mistake. That's the baseline of truth, and nobody thinks it should happen again. Fair enough, right? But it's from that point, as we've discussed on this channel before, that one can form their own opinion. Maybe you choose to align with the integrity of proper film storage. Maybe you opt to appreciate a happy little accident, and maybe you're some mysterious third thing where it's a little bit of both. Besides, if a series like Sailor Moon can reflect the conventions of a particular time, the preservation error provides more context about that time, detailing a caveat of follies that lingered then. While the pink hue of Sailor Moon was an unintended consequence of poor film preservation, it has since been embraced as a distinct aspect of the show. Many fans grew to believe that this color palette was authentic to the series, but this is incorrect. However, just because the colors are wrong doesn't mean you cannot love the outcome. This phenomenon demonstrates how mistakes can sometimes lead to new forms of beauty and inspiration, and how the creative process is prone to all sorts of twists and turns. The dreamy, romantic quality added by the pink tint has become an iconic part of Sailor Moon's identity, influencing artists and creators across different media. Ultimately, it's up to each viewer to determine if this changes their perspective of the series or not, whether they see it as a charming quirk or a departure from the original intent. Nevertheless, the pink hue remains a significant part of Sailor Moon's legacy. In the world of art and creativity, the artist is no stranger to the unexpected outcomes that often lead to new and innovative directions. Embracing these imperfections can inspire fresh perspectives and artistic expressions. This story of Sailor Moon's pink hue serves as a reminder that beauty can emerge from the most unlikely of places. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and now I would love to know what your thoughts are too. So, does knowing that the pink tint was actually a preservation error change the way that you see the series? Or do you think it adds a little bit of charm, a little bit of spice? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video and want to be a part of future discussions, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all next time. Bye!